Perfect. Welcome. I'm Christie Bemis, and I'm so glad that you're here today. For me, this is a great time to do a lunch and learn. It is an absolute downpour of rain today where I am in Madison, Wisconsin. And yeah, I'm going to take the chat down. Great. Yeah. Welcome. Today we're going to dive in. As many of you know that have been on various webinars and things like that I've been doing lately, I try to keep it to about 30 to 40 minutes so that it's really just a nice kind of grab some lunch, close out some of the windows on your computer, sit back and relax, and grab yourself maybe a hot tea today or a drink of water and just settle in. You're welcome to take notes. And of course, I'm going to be sharing the recording with you. So if you prefer to just kind of digest everything and really, kind of center yourself and dive into the information, that's a great thing too. I do want to do a share screen. So that we can really dive in deep and you can see all the information I'm going to be sharing with you. I'll tell you a little bit about myself as we are getting started. I have a lot of roles in life. I call myself the CEO of my kids. Those are my two kids. And above all, though, I'm a woman, and I absolutely love being a woman. And I'm also a big lover of life, which I think is kind of a big deal. I'm a psychotherapist, and so I'm a serial entrepreneur in that I own my own psychotherapy company, Bemis Psychotherapy and Consulting. And then I also own a business and have owned a business since 2011. I co-owned it for years, and just this last year took it over completely myself, which was Hot Pink University, which is where I really get to live out my passion, which is, really helping women to ignite to their passions so that their next years are really their best years. And I hope that you get something out of today where your next years are your best years. And I really feel like I'm on a mission in life to really make sure that women are feeling supported, reigniting passions, and really taking control of their life. Like, that's super important to me. And where is that? A couple of years ago, myself and Anne Murgatroyd-Soe wrote a book together called Ignite Your Life. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is in a chapter in our book that we wrote with some expanded version of it is it's My Hot Pink Baggage and I Claim It, which is all about unpacking our lives. And so I'm super excited to be sharing this juicy topic with you today, Fix Your Life by Fixing You. And we'll talk about why I kind of have that provocative title, and it's not to like hurt or denigrate women at all, but it's to really kind of talk to women in a way that kind of kicks you into your gears of getting on in life. And today you're going to learn ways that we as women kind of enjoy turning towards other people. And you might recognize some of this in yourself. Women are the primary fixers. We're often the barometers in our relationships with our kids, with our partners, with our colleagues, where we bring attention to, and we're wired to do this, of, hey, there's something going on here that needs some fixing. So we're often the fixers. We are also often the caretakers. We're definitely hardwired in life to care for other people, to nurture other people. It's why you see, animals, mama animals, often, sitting on the nest or, taking care of their kids after they're born, taking care of their babies after they're born. We as women are the same. We're caretakers, and that extends beyond just caretakers of children if you choose to have children, but it extends into our relationships with other people. And we're often the protectors of people in our life. The problem becomes is then we stay incredibly other focused. Can you recognize a little bit of this in yourself? We stay incredibly other focused. And what gets lost then is the ability to focus on ourselves. And part of that is this hardwiring caretaking. But the other part of it is that we are the first to be able to list off the 10 things somebody else needs to change. And it's the hardest and most vulnerable and most scary place to turn inward and look at yourself. So that's what we're going to do today, though. Please know I'm here to support you as a woman, as a fellow woman that's been in this, and also can see myself in these two roles and themes that we're going to be presenting. It's not, I don't want you to think I'm talking to you from like some throne where my life is perfect, right? I've got shit going on too, right? And these are two themes today that we're going to be covering that I can recognize in me as I look through the patterns of my history and my life. And I hope that you're open enough and vulnerable enough and curious. That's a word I love to use, curious enough to really reflect and say, I can see myself in one or two or both of these themes. These are not all of the themes. These are just two that I really want to focus on, that I work a lot with women, whether it's through psychotherapy or through my coaching practice with Hot Pink University and through the programs that I run. So what we're going to uncover is how these themes get created, what needs we get through these themes, and the absolute necessary reframes, which I think is super hot, that I'm going to share with you today, on how to get out of these patterns. And you'll leave with empowered strategies to change your story. I really want this work to be centered in a model that I recently created and launched. And so if you can see yourself wanting to unpack yourself, unpack your baggage, see how our culture unfortunately supports these themes to continue on, and then learn some tools and strategies today. But I want to center this work in really what my truest, most recent passions have been over the past couple of years in creating this 4 quadrants of control model. These themes play out in these various parts of the model. And we can talk a little bit about this today, but really the women that are diving into my 6-week course, June 1st, are really going to be diving into changing and looking at all of these quadrants. If you made a list of all the things you have control over in life, and you have on that list other people's names, that's what we're talking about today. You don't. You actually have control only over yourself. And so when we're controlling and having control only over ourselves, you're going to see yourself being in quadrant number 1, which is I have control over me and I'm choosing to do something about that. That's really where this work is centered in, is this first quadrant as a tool for really acknowledging how themes get played out in our life, especially the themes we're going to be covering today, which is victim and lost. So I really grounded in this model. I think it's a super operational model for women to kind of wrap their heads around of where am I spending my time and energy? And you know that you're spending your time and energy in the wrong quadrants, trying to control things you have like no business controlling, and choosing not to act on things that you do actually have business controlling and acting on. You know that you're operating in 2 and 3 if you're feeling these feelings: anger, frustrated, triggered, out of control, depressed, pessimistic, hopeless, defeated, shame, and guilt. And you know that you're in quadrants 1 and 4, which is what we really emphasize in the work that I do, if you're feeling these other feelings. So I hope that helps ground the work. When women can follow the path of number 1 quadrant, control and act on things that they control, what I've seen them be able to do is take control and charge of their career, their relationships. I've seen them take control and charge of learning how to relax more, being more in control of their health goals that they have in mind, and even making some dynamic and drastic changes, leaving a relationship, leaving a job, starting a new business or a dream. Those are the visions that I truly desire to support in this world. So I'm going to do a stop share for one moment, and I'm going to launch a poll. Let's see if we can do that. This is, have you ever thought or felt about these things? Okay. And so we're just going to do the poll for, you can pick, I think maybe up to 3 things. So pick which ones are resonating. It's all anonymous and confidential. Your name is not going to pop up. So if you feel compelled and called to, we're just going to do this poll for the next minute of what are some things that you've thought of or felt. If my partner would just change, I'd be happy. I must be doing something wrong in this relationship. I'm just not good at relationships. I have a hard time looking at myself. I think a lot of women feel that way. I feel shame. I make bad choices in partnership. I'm broken. I don't have time, energy, and money to fix me. Stop asking me to fix me. Why do I have to do all the work? Oh, I hear that one a lot. Yep. And I feel that one a lot. That one resonates really deeply with me. I don't even know where to start. So yeah, we're going to close up the poll and just 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, sharing the results. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Why do I have to do all the work? Yes. That's number 1. And it looks like I make bad choices in partnerships. Okay, this is going to be the perfect webinar for that. Yes, yes, yes. I must be doing something wrong in this relationship. And yeah, those are the top ones. This is perfect. I don't know where to even start. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Thanks for doing that. That's super helpful. One, I love knowing that you are exactly in the right place by launching that poll. And oops, I'm going to get out of that. And 2, it really informs me, like, where are women at? And am I really speaking to the need that's out there for women? Or am I just like over here playing in my own sand pit and not inviting the true needs to the party? So I want to introduce my own story around this. Many years ago, I was in a relationship where my pattern was to draw in men, and maybe some of you can relate to this, who distanced themselves or disconnected. The chase was like super incredible, and being noticed and being seen by these this relationship was kind of fueling for me in some weird ways. And I felt like if I could just love them enough, if I could just love this person enough, that I get them to change and transform and be the best possible version of himself. And if I had a need, I would not get it met. And my old pattern, it was, crying, stomping off, maybe throwing a temper tantrum, or going to my friends and families to align with me and support me of woe is me. I'm so victimized here. So I was the victim, not getting my needs met, and probably never would in that relationship, to be quite honest with you. And so my needs were love, attention, affection, and validation. The very ways I was going about trying to get that was actually pushing it away. And also, I had called in a partnership that was going to perpetuate the victim cycle. And some of you in that poll, you can see I'm just not good at relationships, or all those things that you're feeling. And so you can kind of resonate, hopefully, with my story. And let's do the shared screen again. So these are the 2 themes that we're going to be looking at, is the victim theme and the loss theme. The victim theme, as you can see, is really coming from this place of, and maybe you've had these feelings like, please serve me. And it's a very passive way to move through life, meaning I'm not going to be in that first quadrant. There are things about this I can control, and I'm not going to act on it. So you're actually functioning from the second quadrant when you're in the victim stance. This feeling of entitlement, like to your help, your love, your attention. And then when you don't get it, the feelings of frustration, which is that second quadrant, which is I have no control over this. And I keep trying to change it. I keep trying to change my partner and make him or her a better person, right? This feeling of I need you. And this also feeling, I hope you heard that in my story, of I show you how I feel so that you will know what to do to take care of me. The crying, you must know how I feel, I'm crying. The temper tantrums, the going and aligning with the family and the friends to kind of stir the story around again, right? You did this to me. I'm going to take a drink of water. Is that very passive again? Like, I have no control over this and I am a victim of you, of this circumstance. And then this feeling of, and I think we're fed this and cultured this in our society. Thanks a lot, Jerry Maguire. You complete me. Renee Zellweger's famous line, right? You complete me. Is very much coming from this story of victim stance. And then I think the biggest one is I'm broken. I'm somehow broken. Excuse me. So if you see yourself in some of these themes and how this can play out, maybe you don't see yourself, but maybe you see somebody in your life, right? Acting on these themes and the frustration of maybe it's a daughter or a friend or your mother or a colleague where you see this. It's so frustrating to watch from the outside because you're like, just want to shake that woman and go, take control of your life, lady. And sometimes when you see it in yourself, you just want to shake yourself and say, what are you doing? This is a repeat pattern again and again. The first step, I feel like, with any change that you make is seeing it. So that's kind of why I'm presenting it and showing you, like, this is what it looks like. Often women in these roles have very dependency, not interdependent relationships, meaning they kind of back themselves in a corner. Maybe you've backed yourself into a corner where I can't possibly get out of this relationship because I don't have the money or I don't have the supports or I don't have, and so now this cycle perpetuates, right? The dynamics that are created are kind of like take care of me, and often poor boundaries, very little things you can do to take care of yourself. Feeling a lot of misunderstood, like, and having dynamics like, you're going to leave me, I'm going to get fired, all of those things from the job. So we'll move to lost, which is that place of rescue me, feed me. It can take place of I show you how I feel by pouting or tantrums or withdrawing to show you by my actions how I feel, and you must be able to pick up on these, instead of like communicating them. The feeling of I can't do it alone, so I need somebody to be here. I'm begging you to be here. And then that also ultimate come find me in the chase. And so some of the ways that this can play out is, I once had a coworker who was just, for me, a real energy drain. She often would take my work and present it as her own, and see nothing wrong with it. And she rose to the top with these behaviors because at the time she had a supervisor, our supervisor, who really needed his particular role to be that of rescuer. Excuse me. And sometimes that's how this gets played out and perpetuated, is there's a lot of rescuers out there. In fact, a lot of the men or women that are more in their masculine energy like to rescue people, and for whatever purpose that supports their needs, right? And so it can get played out in that way as well. So here's the thing. Here's what I want to do today is I want to help support you, or if you have a loved one, you're going to get this link to the webinar. You can share it with them to move actually from victim to this inspirational way shower, to really reframe and shift, giving you tools and strategies to do that, and really move from lost to an empowered woman. How does that sound? I love the shift that we can make in our life. It's a healing. And I also believe it's possible. So that's important, is, do you believe that this work is possible? Do you believe that your own shift is possible? We can no longer operate from these places of victim and lost and get our ultimate dream or vision for our life met. And I really want your best years to be your next years, right? All right, let's move into what that looks like then. What does the shift actually look like? I just want you to take a moment to read. So the shift really looks like, instead of serving me, I'm looking for you to guide me in the direction I envision for myself. This is really what I call taking over the driver's seat of your car. If you want to go from point A to B, and B is your ultimate outcome and destination, you wouldn't be in the passenger seat of your car, right? Especially if the person that's driving has their own point C that they're trying to get to, right? If they share that with you, that vision from point A to B on a project, in a relationship, with dreams and goals, awesome. You guys can shift off passenger driver. But when it gets to this unequal place of, I'm a passenger, you're a driver, I no longer know where I'm going anymore, that's where we end up in victim places. So I envision this for myself. It might not be your vision, but I'm driving my car to it. I'm asking you for your support, and I'll thank you. I'll thank you for that support. Instead of I need you, I want you. I want you in my life. I want you to be in this with me if you can show up in the ways that I desire and need the absolute most. This other place of I show you how I feel or what I need is I tell you what I need directly. This, ladies, really needs to come from a place of, I know what I need. And how many of you know what you need? I think that's the biggest thing that women that are coming in to coach and work with me is really like, I don't know what I need. And so I have tools and techniques that I really, a whole list of, like, these are common needs of other women, that I work with, and take a look what's resonating for you. The other thing that I work with women on is I take them through an Ignite Your Life personal assessment. And there'll be an invite at the end of this webinar to jump on a 30-minute phone call, and we can get you started on that. And what that does is it really helps support you to identify maybe needs that you don't even know you have, but also to prioritize those needs, because there's only so much time, energy, and money. And so how can we prioritize those needs in the best way to maximize you to your highest potential, right? So I tell you directly what I need so I can function in my highest power. And it's this ability to say, I'm learning a lot about myself through our relationship dynamics, and I know how to not repeat them. Now, sometimes this means we need to part ways, but sometimes our partner can hear this new story that we're creating now, and they can latch onto it themselves. There's a great special that was released in April of 2019 that Brene Brown did around this, which is the story I'm telling myself is. And when couples can start sharing in that way, in that vulnerable way of this is like a life theme I have. I am playing the victim theme. You're playing the rescue role. Or the persecutor role, right? I want to get out of this dynamic with you. Let's join together and say from now on, this is how we're going to create new and healthy ways of being together. That's so important, whether it's our relationship with our significant other or in our friendships. It's so important to feel that way. This other concept around I am complete and come on over here and join me. A lot of times in therapy, I talk about it like coming to the table with your soup bowl full versus empty, and that your partner or your friend or your colleague also comes with their soup bowl full, and that you're fully resourced so that you can be in healthy partnerships and relationships with one another. And then this whole piece of, I know that my theme today was fix your life by fixing you. But here's the thing, I don't think women are that broken. I don't think you're that broken. So I don't want you to leave here thinking, whoa, I'm that broken. I am that awful. That's not the theme that we're going with. That's perpetuating more of the same, right? What it is sometimes we need somebody to spark and show the way out. And that's what I want for you. I want women rising and supporting one another and getting the support you need. All right. The other big theme that comes out of victim is just the overarching theme of come and help me. And when we can shift that to this other concept around, I'm putting out my welcome mat. I'm inviting you in. I'm inviting you into my life. I'm inviting you into my story. I'm inviting you into my vulnerability. But I also take it away if it's not received in the fashion that I'm extending. I don't chase. Not going to fix you. Not going to try to change you. I want partners, not projects. Right? And when we can move into this more powerful frame, what's powerful for you? What's coming up for you in that? Do you have partners in your friendships, in your relationships right now? Or do you have a series of projects? Because if you do, then you're completely operating in the second quadrant of control, which is trying to control other people, trying to fix, trying to protect, trying to caretake other people, when really the only control is caretaking of yourself, right? Let's move on to this other big mind shift that I want you to have before we end our time together today. We have about 10 minutes left. In this loss theme, I presented it to you a couple screens ago. There comes this new shift of empowered woman, which sounds more like, instead of rescue me, it's maybe help me and support me. Maybe you have some knowledge. Maybe you have like something that I don't know. Show me what you know. I don't know what I don't know, so that I can learn how to feed myself. Or I see something in what you're doing that I want to have. I often talk to women about the feeling of jealousy and envy. It's an awful feeling to have, jealousy and envy, right? And we're taught not to covet what somebody else has, right? But I like to think of jealousy and envy in this beautiful reframe around jealousy and envy really is the compass of desire. So when you feel jealous or envy over a coworker's like position and what they're doing, what is it about that you want? What do you desire more of? Do you desire more recognition? How can you ask and get that? Do you desire more leads on projects? How can you ask and get that? If you feel jealousy and envy over another partner's relationship, what is it about their relationship? It's not like you want her relationship, but what about that relationship or the aspects about it do you want to draw in for yourself, right? So I love to think of jealousy and envy in this place of, it really is our compass, our guiding force that can really fuel the creation of identifying needs and desires in our life. The other piece about this is I figure out how I feel first and what I need, and then I tell you how I feel and what I need from you. Doesn't mean the person is always going to give it, but it comes from a place of less passive and more assertive. And I often coach women on assertiveness is not about changing the other person. Assertiveness is about telling what our needs are, regardless of what the outcome might get. Regardless of whether you get those needs met, the fact that you're voicing them, you're talking it out versus acting it out. That's what we're talking about, from getting from lost and victim into these other places that we want to be. I don't want to do this part alone, but I can if I need to. So this whole piece of I can't do it alone, I can't. I want I can't to be completely taken out of our vocabulary. I recently wrote a blog on the power of our words. I can't is such a powerful thing. Such a powerful thing. So if we can take that out of our vocabulary and invite other words into our realm and our space. And then this whole piece around, I'm inviting you to be in this together with me and holding space in each other's vision for one another. So I'm not trying to change you. I'm not trying to have you chase me. My welcome mat again is out, and I'm inviting you in. And the number one overarching theme around this is come find me. The chase is so important for the lost theme. This new frame is so powerful and important. It's the biggest stuff I've been working on in my own life over the last 2 or 3 years. I know where I am and I'm safe in my body. No matter what's happening externally or with you, I know where I am. I know my truth and I'm safe in my body. I invite you to join me if you can meet me with your own safety as well. And so it's not the responsibility of the other person to necessarily make you feel safe. It is the responsibility of you. So I wanted another poll, just see who's still out there, right? See if my other poll is up. All right, I'm going to launch this, and I think you can only choose one. So I want to just kind of launch this. What is the best possible outcome that would occur, and what would you desire? My partner and I would stay together in joy. I would leave this current relationship and be happy. I would get the support I need at work. I would feel whole again, regardless of the outcome of work or relationships or anything. Or I would get into a new relationship or relationships that would be healthy. And when I talk about relationships, it's not just the relationships of significant others. It can be partnerships and friendships. It can be partnerships with your adult children, or your emerging adult children, right? It can be partnerships with your family. It can be partnerships with coworkers, friends, all kinds of things. So we're just going to keep the poll open for another couple seconds. My partner and I would stay together and enjoy. So a lot of partnership issues of wanting to really stay, but just maybe not sure how. I hear that. I'd feel whole again regardless of the outcome. Okay. Wonderful. And I would get the support I need to do this work. Perfect. Okay. So here are the results that are out there. Yeah. So I love this. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for doing that. I love this because it illustrates a lot of us want to stay, we don't want to make like big, huge, drastic changes. I always talk about you don't have to burn down the whole house to get something new in life. You can just burn down, aspects of it and how you're showing up. And that's really what you have control over. And so I love that. I hope some things are you're kind of recognizing some of yourself. If there's any questions you have, you can, there's a Q&A that I believe you can anonymously, just put a question in there if you have any questions as we kind of wrap up our time together. I want to do the tool though. I want to share the tool with you. So again, I invite you to connect with me. I often offer 30-minute consultations. You can find my consultation button usually on my website, www.hotpinkyou.com, and it's under the About page. And I love dropping in with women, and the 30-minute consult is, of course, to like tell you what programs I have, right? And how I can best support you, of course, of course, of course. But you also, trust me, leave with not your next best 100 steps, but definitely your next best one step. I love working with women on that concept because looking at our next 100 steps can feel super overwhelming. And I really help women hone in on what is your next 1 to 5 best steps. You don't have to know all of the potential out there, right? So this is a solution. It's not all of the solution, but it's one tool that I really think is important. And I often call it like the feeling spiral, right? Or the situation spiral, which is we start at the bottom, is start here. And what is my body feeling right now? And so oftentimes with women that I'm coaching, we go through what's called emotional literacy. And I want you to think about emotion as just a chemical reaction in our body. It usually happens within 1/4 of a second. A trigger occurs. It triggers a chemical reaction in our body because it's triggering like an experience, or it's triggering our theme of victim and lost. And then within another 1/4 of a second, it gets a cortex flood around the stories that our cortex has in our head. And then it moves and shoots that chemical reaction through our body. This lasts for about 6 seconds. Well, our cortex is starting to make sense and make a story, spin a story, which is, if you have the victim and lost, that's what it's spinning. So when we can move back into our bodies, get out of our heads, get out of our intellect, and back into our bodies and go, ooh, what is that feeling? What is that feeling in my body right now? And when you start doing this work, it helps to download a whole feeling spiral. Women that I work with get an emotional wheel, which helps them identify core feelings, but then the reverberation of that into what is really the need, the underlying need that's not being met right here. Then you can ask yourself, what stories am I creating with my cortex? Our cortex, and we go through this in like week 4 of my 6-week program that I'm launching June 1st. Our cortex is all about imagination. It's a great little, like, very busy part of our brain that really holds these stories, and it creates like all kinds of stories that are often not based on much evidence, or maybe they were real at one time in our lives, but they're not real anymore. And we hardly question it because thoughts and stories are so automatic. The story of victimhood, the story of lost is so automatic and ingrained that it really takes time, energy, and effort to unpack those stories and to really examine them and slow down the process between reaction, right? So if you can see here, the 4th question or the 4th thing is, how do I best respond? And generally as women, we operate out of the 4th question first. And so I'm asking you to slow this process down of asking yourself, what is my body feeling? Giving yourself time to feel the feelings, identify what those feelings are, what unmet needs might be below the surface, what previous trauma might be being triggered in our bodies, what stories we are creating by our cortex. Are there other factors that are contributing to this? Maybe you haven't been getting a lot of sleep lately. Maybe you're going on a keto diet and you're kind of edgy, for the first like 5-7 days. I don't know what other factors are contributing to this. Maybe you've been feeling really disconnected from your partner lately, and that might be contributing to this overall like trigger that you're having. And then that 4th question, how can I best respond? But here's the important thing, and when. I never, ever, ever answer a text or an email within the first 24 hours of being strongly triggered. It is a number 1 rule I've made in my life. I will answer it the next day. I will think about it. I won't ruminate on it, but I will give it some time to think and really sit with me. I've answered way too many emails off the fly of my seat, and I've stirred the pot. I've made the situation much worse than it needed to be, and I'm just not going to do that anymore, right? And then this debriefing afterwards, this is what we miss a lot of times, not just as women, but as human beings. What is the lesson in this for me? When you're playing from a story of victim and lost, things are happening to you. Things are happening to you. But when you're playing from a place of inspirational way shower, an empowered woman, which is the reframe we want in our life, who wants that in your life? This is the key point, is there's always a lesson in whatever's happening for you. So notice I reframed it. Things aren't happening to you. They're happening for you. And when we can make that shift in that belief, it's so powerful. I also have a free offering for you, which is Ignite Your Life Facebook group. It's where I'm most actively involved in. It's a private group where you can get support. You just need to send me an email at hotpinkyou@gmail.com and ask how you can join that group. But it's where I'm really going to be playing and interacting a lot over the next 3 months specifically, of growing that group and growing the support in the community to get out of victim and lost and move back into that empowered place that you want to be as a woman, that feels right and feels good, and that you actually have control over. You're acting in the first quadrant of control. I also want to put out there that I'm enrolling. We start June 1st. We're really tearing down the old stories. And for 6 weeks, you're going to learn ways to rewire your brain. When I talk about cortex and amygdala kind of things, that's the stuff we're going to be focusing on in our feelings and emotional literacy and all those things as a woman. So if this feels like a good offer for you, hop on a 30-minute call or just go on the website and I can support you in helping you sign up. So I'd love to see, I don't think I see any questions in there, but I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it was, supportive in some of the work that you're doing in your life right now. And I really hope that you can feel the genuineness of who I am as a woman and who I always am striving to be. And that really my mission in this world is to reignite you to your highest power, your highest potential, and reignite your passion so that you can live the desired life you have now, not someday when everything aligns, but now, so that your next years are truly, truly your absolute best years. Thanks so much, and thanks for